and I just flipped out. Like literally, I remember I walked in there and they're both sitting there and I just slap them both on the back of the head. Boom! One's glasses flies off his face. Boom! I hit the other one and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You are on a ship and it is sinking and you are not bailing it out? Are you out of your goddamn minds? Hello everybody, Terrence Popp here with another episode of Live from the Lair. Alright, these stories take place between 2013 and 2018. This one's going to be like in 2013. I took a week's worth of leave, I think 8 days. And I had my kids for a week in the summer. I think it was August. I don't remember the exact date. But, the house I was staying in is in Berkeley, Michigan. My mother lives there. It's technically my house. She just lives there and pays the bills. But that's another crazy story. So, pretty much every time I I have my kids, weekend, week, whatever, we see a lot of movies. And we'd usually always go to the Imagine because they had pizza in there and it was pretty squared away. They're not sponsoring me or anything. I just use their services. They run a pretty good tight ship. The food's good. The matinee prices aren't bad. And, what can you say? But that was when there was this record downfall of rain. And I remember we're driving, and this actually might be August of 2014. I could be mixing the years up, but I think it's 14. So I remember we were driving to the movie theater to see a movie. I don't remember which one, because they were kind of on the young side back then, so it wasn't anything that was too dynamic, if you know what I mean. And I remember we're rolling down, Catalpa. We turn onto Maine, I look up and I see these storm clouds coming, and they're like the dark ones with the green tinge, like the ones that just don't look good. And my daughter's like, hey Dad, I think it's gonna rain. I'm like, yeah, well, we're gonna be seeing a movie, so it doesn't matter. So, we go in there and see the movie, and there was some thunder and lightning out there, and you could hear the rain through the movie. It was raining so hard. It was just downpouring. On the way back, we couldn't go back, the usual route because basically the train viaduct that ran through Royal Oak had filled up with water because it kind of dips down a little bit. It was like 3.5 feet deep. So we had to go around the block and work our way back. It took like half an hour just to find a route to get near my house because there was so much fucking flooding. I had to literally park at the high school like a mile away from the house, and me and my two girls walked back, and every street we crossed was like a foot and a half of water. I had to carry my youngest one on my back for some of them. It was, pretty bad. And I remember there was, where there were manhole covers in the street, the water was, the back pressure was so high that those had been basically blown off, and water was basically shooting out of the manhole, in the street. And I was like, holy fuck. So I get back to my house, and my sister, she had been living there for a few months, maybe 6 months or something. She had moved in with her and her 4 children and their fucking dog. And normally I like dogs when they don't shit and piss all over the floor and then chew shit up and act fucking like psychos. If they do that, I don't like them. So I walk in there, and my niece, my sister's female, child, had gone to a slumber party and left like right after we left for the movie. So she was out of the equation. 2 of my nephews at the time were both playing Xbox, sitting on the floor where they were when I left. And my oldest nephew had spent like an hour and a half with a 5-gallon bucket, running up and down the stairs, you know, throwing water out, trying to, you know, keep because the basement was flooding. It was already up to like just below the first stair. So we're talking 7 inches, 8 inches. And I just flipped out. Like, literally, I remember I walked in there and they're both sitting there and I just slap them both on the back of the head. Boom! One's glasses flies off his face. Boom! I hit the other one and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You are on a ship and it is sinking and you are not bailing it out? Are you out of your goddamn minds? Get your shoes on and come with me. We have work to do. So they come with me, we go down there, and all of this shit that got wet, it wasn't a finished basement, thank God, but all of the shit that had gotten wet, we basically carried it upstairs and threw it out in the backyard. I found an old pump from one of those swimming pools that you put a frame up and whatever. You know, what are you going to do? And then I primed it with the shop vac and basically started pumping the fucking water out of my basement. And luckily, you know, I caught it in time because it never went over the first step. Once I started that pump up, it never got deeper, you know, than it was when I first started. And I think it was like by 2 in the morning, I had pretty much had all of the water pumped out of the basement. And of course, you know, when some shit like that happens, all the finger pointing goes on, and this pump house didn't work, but it's not their fault, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, I wasn't going to bother, you know, doing a insurance claim because they don't cover flooding anyway. I made sure I disassembled the furnace, I dried off all the parts, and, you know, everything was good to go. And that dried off well. The water heater, we salvaged that because you immediately dry that shit off as soon as you can, and all it really takes is a hair dryer and about 45 minutes and maybe a couple towels. I got that, the pilot light relit. I got the pilot light lit on the furnace. You know, everything was squared away. But the next day, we had to basically, because there was some sewage water in there, I bought like 2 gallons of bleach and mixed it with hot water, and we just covered every surface that was wet with the water just to kill everything. And I remember, like, my niece had come back by then, and I was like, you're going to go downstairs and you're going to help us clean up the basement. And she's like, I don't want anything to do with poo water, blah, blah. I'm like, listen here, you bitch. I don't fucking care about your feelings. I don't care about your prissiness or your entitled whatever. Get your fucking boots on, get in the goddamn basement, and do your fucking share. Fuck off. And she screamed she hated me, and I said, yeah, whatever. Tell me something I don't know. So we got the basement cleaned up, and I mean, we lost a bunch of stuff. But it's like that for any fucking kind of flooding. But and then, you know, like 6 months later, my fucking homeowner insurance from USAA went up by 1/3, and I had to actually get rid of them. And for you servicemen out there, USAA is not actually the be-all, end-all for insurance. It's, you know, it's not true at all. In fact, Progressive beat them in all of, you know, every method for car insurance. And I actually found another homeowner's insurance company that did not gouge me an extra 1/3 to insure my fucking my house. But that's neither here nor there.
ZZ Top Reloaded, or as they are more commonly known, Shotgun Rebellion, is a proud sponsor of Redonkulous.com Productions and Live from the Lair. These are patriotic, gun-loving, music-making machines, and you can show them love by purchasing their music on CD Baby or any of the popular music sites listed below. Piss off some snowflakes and play them loud in your own lair!
There we go. Let's see. I got a couple. All right. Now, another thing that happened, I think this started in 2016. You know, right around the end of 2015, beginning of 2016, I could no longer control the headaches that I get from the TBI I suffered in Iraq in 2004. And I had been able to control them with Excedrin. As soon as you feel the headache coming, you take the Excedrin, you drink a cup of coffee or have a Red Bull, and help it kick in. And it was able to keep it at manageable levels. And same thing with Motrin. So I couldn't, when you take so much Excedrin, aspirin, Motrin, you start going over like 800 milligrams a dose, especially for the Motrin. It starts fucking wreaking havoc on your liver and kidneys. And I was getting I was throwing some high creatinine levels, and I was having some liver enzyme levels on a couple of physicals, and I knew that I had to figure something else out, because kidneys are a good thing and a liver's a good thing. So I had to go to Fort Drum, because they had a TBI clinic there, and basically submit myself to the conveyor belt of woe that is Army medicine. Now, I'm not saying they did a bad job. Okay, the people at Fort Drum, they're very compassionate, they're very thorough. They worked with me on a lot of stuff, and the doctors I had there were very good. And I can't complain about that at all, because they really, I went in there, they really cared about your well-being and stuff like that. And it wasn't just treat me for a headache. They started the whole fucking thing. They gave me another I think I got 2 more neuropsych tests, whole bunch of MRIs, the brain pan and neck and back. They changed a bunch of fucking medicines around for me, which didn't really help. I don't respond well to a lot of the head meds that they use that alter brain chemistry. It doesn't work out for me very well. So a lot of stuff they were trying just wasn't working. And that went on for about a year. And they were good, because I would have like 3 appointments like twice a week, and all of the appointments would on the same day. So I'd have 3 appointments on a Tuesday and 3 appointments on a Thursday or Friday, and I would just the whole day is gone anyway, because the driving up there is a bitch, and then driving your day's gone as soon as you have to drive up there. So I'd get up at like dark 30, jump on the fucking road, get up there by like 9:30, and do my fucking thing, hang out on post, go have a Charlie's steak and cheese at the fucking PX, work out in the gym. Sometimes I go to the chow hall and do my fucking medical appointments. Well, we weren't really getting anywhere. I had a few anomalies on the MRI, which were kind of dubious. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on those, but needless to say, once that stuff popped up, you go on the non-deployable list, and once you're on the non-deployable list, you're fucked. Okay, you're fucked. In the Army, it's over. All right, so I knew once I got on the non-deployable list, and because of some of the stuff that they found on the MRI, there's no way I was ever going to come off of that. So I knew it was done. It was a done deal, and that was probably beginning of 2017. And I fought the process tooth and fucking nail. I drugged the whole thing out. Actually, at one point, they paid for a ticket down to DC. I went in full green, stood in front of a board, told them my fucking story. They flew me back. I did everything I could do. And, it got to the point where they were like, this is going to happen one way or another, Sergeant Popp. So what's it going to be? And I just said, fuck it. I'm going to drag my fucking feet. And I appealed everything, because, I'm a black belt in administrative violence. I knew I was going to lose this battle, but, I knew how to fucking put up obstacles and evade things. And, it was all administrative fucking fencing. So finally, towards the end of 2017, I get a call to come down to Drum, And I go in there and I say I have to go talk to this full bird colonel. And I go in there and he sits me down. It was just me and him. And he goes, look here, Popp. You've been in the Army over 30 goddamn years. All right. You've done, you've been in the Army while the Army was involved in 3 formal conflicts. And you've done other things, other, shit for the Army that will never kiss the pages of history. And all of the shit that you're going through, it's all directly related to wounds received in combat. We are not going to fuck you. All right? That's not going to fucking happen. So what we're going to do now is we're going to send you to the VA, and the VA is going to do a rating, and whatever that rating comes back as, and I can almost guarantee you with all of the shit we found on the MRI and all of your, two telephone book, files of medical records, you're going to get a high percentage. Okay, if you go over, if it's over 75%, you're going to get the full boat retirement package as an E8. So, you get to the point, most people never really think about when it's going to end. All right, they think it's going to go forever. All right. Well, gentlemen, you guys in the service, it's not going to last forever, and sooner or later, you're going to have to step out of the parade and become a fucking observer. And that's a hard pill to swallow. And, I had to come to grips with it that was going to happen. Now, the chain of command I had at the 403rd, they were great, all right? They knew it wasn't my fault. Everyone knew that I was hurt because, every time I took a PT test, it sounded like a Trans Am in 3rd gear trying to get up to, freeway speed. It was metal on metal. It was bad, but, I was able to, continue doing what I was doing. But, right around, the end of 17, the headaches and the other shit that was going on, it became painfully obvious that, I was done. And I wasn't going to, basically stand around and be the broken shit bag and have other NCOs lie or cover up my ineptitudes because of my fucking injuries. I just don't, I'm not going to ask anyone to, endanger or violate their integrity for me. All right. That's just how it all went down. And, and I did drag it out quite a bit. And I remember towards the end when I got my retirement orders, it said I was going to retire as an E7, not an E8, even though I held the first sergeant rank for 3 years, and I willingly basically I took an admin reduction to basically go on the AGR tour, and it worked out pretty good. I originally agreed to the admin reduction when I was in 20th Group Special Forces because they're like, we'll take you as an E7, but not as E8. And one day, maybe, when we have some guys going to retire, you can pick up a full-time AGR position at 20th Group. Which didn't happen because I got divorced and I had to fucking transfer, closer to home. But that's another story. So, the funny thing about time is a lot of the lieutenants and captains that you knew back in the day, there's a certain percentage of them are going to go way up the chain. And I knew one who was a general. And I remember I emailed him directly and I said, here's my orders for my E8. Here's my reduction order for my E8. Note there's 38 months between the two. It's an admin reduction because I went to 20th Group Special Forces, trying to get an AGR position. And DA is kind of trying to retire me as an E7. And you and I both know once that happens, trying to unfuck that whole thing, I have to go through Department of Army Corrections, and maybe it'll get fixed in 2 years, and I'll never backdate my money, and it'll just be a fucking nightmare. Okay, 8 business days later, I got a new retirement order for First Sergeant, not E8, First Sergeant, which I was. And, that really helped me out a lot. And, but it is what it is. But, you know, things happen. You know, I can't complain. I was in my 33rd year. I wanted to do 40. You know, I think 40 would have been good, but I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. And there's probably a lot of people out there that I've helped out with the advice and the humor and the jokes about the fucked up situation that's going on out there. You know, maybe I saved a lot of their lives. I don't know. And I'm not planning on stopping doing this. I'm going to continue on, but you know, it's gonna evolve into different things, and it is what it is. Now, this is another, you know, side note there at the 403rd. I had a captain show up, junior captain, had anger issues. He's Greek. He would go off on a tangent, turn red, fucking flip out. And I remember when first time I saw that, I was just like, ooh, wait a minute. Let's dial it back down to 7 or 8, because we're at 11 or 12 right now. You're going to throw a rod, and then you need a major overhaul, and it's just going to fuck you up. And he'd be like, all right. And I'm like, all right, sit down and run me through the whole thing. And he would tell me what was going on. I'd be like, okay. And I'd listen, and I would give him my advice. And he was fortunate and smart enough to accept the fact that he was a junior captain. I had been a first sergeant in combat, was a Green Beret Ranger. I knew how to manage people. I knew how to lead troops. I knew what you could do and what you couldn't do, what you could get away with and what you can't get away with. And I knew exactly how to just surf that line between the two, and that's exactly what we did for about basically his entire command. We surfed the edge of getting fucking hammered every fucking day, and it was glorious. I wrote all kinds of memos and fucking looked up regs for him so he could, you know, do what he had to do. I did his training schedules, and he'd be like, nah, Pop, just make it sound Army. This is what I want to do. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. And that's exactly what I did. And there was some other, you know, when you have young commanders, you have young commander problems. And this particular commander loved to drink. He loved his drinky. And I drink my fair amount. Usually I do it at night because I'm trying to sleep. I don't drink during the day, except for when I'm filming. And then usually that's under a very controlled situation. And there was a few times, you know, where I would get a call from battalion, and they were very unhappy because they were hearing all kinds of rumor control thing, and I was like, okay. And I had done fuck a bunch of shit. And one of them was, you know, they didn't have this when I was, you know, a lower enlisted guy, but when I went to drill, you didn't get a hotel room. You got to sleep on the drill floor or in a team room or something like that, or in your car, or in an RV or a fucking tent. That was it. There was no fucking food. There was none of that shit. Okay. And but now everyone gets a hotel paid for them. They get per diem. They get fucking their meals paid for. It's just fucking crazy. So I get a call from higher. That's just some crazy fucking shit. They heard this fucking rumor and, you know, other shit like that. So now I got to run interference. Now my platoon, my supply sergeant was very unhappy with a lot of the horse shit that was going on. He thought it was very unprofessional and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and he has a point, you know, it kind of was. But it is what it is. You know, I'd rather deal with what I had than risk getting another fucked up commander. Because even though this was a junior captain, he was still, you know, he wanted to train. He wanted to, you know, train right, train hard. He cared about his guys. And he wasn't just there to get his fucking ticket punched and move along, which is very rare in the Army. So this particular thing, basically in one of the hotel rooms, there was like 5 or 6 empty bags of IVs, fluid, some used fucking needles for basically, giving people IVs after they drink all fucking night. And so they wouldn't be hungover in the morning. And this was left in one of the hotel rooms. And, we had to run some interference. We had to pick that shit up, give an apology to the hotel and basically tell them, hey, if you're going to do that shit, come into the fucking unit, do it fucking here. We'll say it's combat lifesaver training and everything is good to go. Because I personally don't fucking care. I mean, if you guys want to drink, that's fine. As long as you show up for duty the next morning, not drunk, and you can do your duty, what you do on your own time is your own fucking business. So, we put that to fucking bed. He would go out drinking with his guys, which, I would go out and have 1 or 2 beers with the guys, but, right around 45 minutes to an hour, I would, graciously just say, I gotta go, because it's frowned upon for, senior enlisted and officers to be drinking with, mid-level to junior level NCOs, and that in a public fucking setting. But there was a few times where I stuck around because, junior commander was starting to go off in the weeds because he was clouding his thinking meat with some alcohol. And I remember no, we're not going to go over here. We're going to go over there. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. You're not driving tonight. We're going to call you an Uber. Give me your fucking keys. And I'll see you tomorrow at the unit and give you your keys back. And I kept him out of trouble, and he did an outstanding job. And like I said before, I would hope to think I had a very positive impact on his thinking meat and on the furthering of his career, because when he first showed up, he operated at a very high emotional tempo. Okay, he got angry quick. You don't make the best decisions when you're thinking in that frame of mind. And I would like to think I was able to help him go from 10 to 6 or 7, where you could still be somewhat upset, but not to the point where it clouds your judgment or makes you do stupid shit. Because if you keep going up the ladder as an officer, sooner or later, the emotional officers don't make the cut. Okay? You're usually gone by major, lieutenant colonel at the latest. Okay, I can't tell you how many emotional officers I knew that got out of company command and then they spent 14 or 15 years working staff just to make it to lieutenant colonel, never get a battalion command because they're emotional fucking thinkers, and get retired as, a lieutenant colonel, 05. And that's a shame, but that's just the way it is on the ground. All right, gentlemen, like I said before, send me some shit for military topics. Probably shake my brain, my thinking meat loose, come up with some more stories, because, there's probably a lot of them I don't remember that I need to, get my memory jogged. Or if you want some advice on some military bullshit, or how fucking certain pieces of equipment work, or what they're for, I could probably help you out. Anyway, take it easy, gentlemen.